NATO to increase the size of its battle groups in Eastern Europe. What does that mean for Canada? This is the Great White North Report. I'm in love with the system. Never going home. I'm in love. All right, so NATO intends to increase the size of its battle units in Eastern Europe as part of its NATO commitments. Currently, there's about 40,000 soldiers, airmen, and naval personnel on the Eastern Front, bordering Russia, and they're scattered in 8 battalion-size units. They want to increase that to brigades, so they want to add 300,000 troops to the Russian border. Since Russia broke peace and has definitely been the aggressor in their Ukrainian invasion for the Ukrainian-Russo war, and it's time to show them we mean business. We're going to turn back the clock to 1985, at a time when Canada actually had a full air wing and a full armored brigade in Germany, West Germany at the time. That's what it's boiling down to. Now, Canada has only 3,700 military personnel, mostly in Latvia, but also a couple of coastal patrol ships, which doesn't sound like a lot considering that the United States has roughly 100,000 troops stationed in Europe. The U.S. has already added a rotational brigade of troops to Romania, where a battle group led by France was recently established, and plans to further bolster contingents in the Balkan states. They'll send 2 more F-35 squadrons to the United Kingdom and set up surface air defense systems in Germany and Italy. So basically we're rearming Europe again. Permanent headquarters in Poland for the 5th Army Corps, which will coordinate defense in Eastern Europe in the event of further Russian aggression. So they have a full Army Corps. And that's all on top of the existing 100,000 troops that are already based in Europe. So that's what the U.S. is doing. And what's Canada doing? We got not a lot. So the plan is for 300,000 Western troops drawn from 30 countries. Do the math, it's about 10,000 troops per country, and the United States is already providing a third of that. So Canada is really lagging behind when it comes to our own NATO commitments, let alone NORAD commitments. Our NORAD defense, the NORAD system needs to be reworked. The radar line, we need to put money into that. So Canada leads the one in Latvia, but they want to make it into a full combat brigade, doubling their size depending on the contingent and their composition. We don't have exactly a lot in the cookie jar right now. Like, our Air Force is obsolete and needs to be replaced. We finally picked the F-35 to replace the CF-18s. We're using tanks from the 80s and early 90s. They need to be upgraded. We don't have any mobile rocket launchers, no self-propelled artillery. We gave 4 of our howitzers to Ukraine, as well as a lot of ammunition, a lot of shells for it, and now we're scrambling to produce and buy our own shells. Our military has really declined, especially since the end of the Cold War, where it was seemed no longer necessary. And we fooled ourselves with all these peacekeeping missions. Our peacekeepers have gone into these places with very little support. It looks good on paper and looks good for a politician, but in reality it has not been. We've had to rely on our allies for simple equipment. Now Britain and Germany, they're going to step up because they lead battle groups in Lithuania and Estonia. But Canada, Trudeau is pretty silent on everything. And currently, us and Spain are the 2 biggest troop contributors to Latvia for almost 5 years. But ever since the Ukraine invasion, Denmark has dispatched several hundred reinforcements to the country. So we need to increase our presence in Latvia. So Defense Minister Anita Anand indicated 3,400 soldiers. I said 37, I think. Sailors and aircrewmen were set aside under the old NATO reinforcement plan. So we're not sure. They're not telling us right now, and for good reason. You shouldn't really tell us how much we're going to send until later. But we should be reestablishing an air wing and a full combat brigade in Europe, like we used to do. They're talking about being ready means being trained, and being trained costs money. There has to be troops, airmen, and sailors around to exercise, and the Canadian military faces recruiting challenges. Mainly because there's a witch hunt in our top brass right now. Our Canadian military is riddled with sexual assault cases from like things that happened 20, 30 years ago. And there's been, and according to my own cousins who are female in the military, there's been a witch hunt to get women in the top roles. It's all about this diversity thing they're pushing. Both ethnic and gender diversity. And that will weaken us in the long run. So Canada currently is about 7 years behind according to our top general, General Wayne Eyre, because of the sexual misconduct crisis and the pandemic. We're 7 years behind our recruitment efforts. We're like 7,500 people short of the required strength. So filling the ranks is going to be expensive and time-consuming. Time-consuming, yes. Where can we get the money? Well, why don't we do this? Since Canada can now seize and sell off Russian assets, why not? Sell them off, put them in our military. Put that money into our military. It's free. Doesn't cost us anything. It'll be ironic. Russian money going towards things that are aimed at Russia. We're looking at 123 million in Russian assets frozen, 298 million in transactions blocked since Ukrainian invasion. 123 million, that'll go a long way. Should not have blocked their transactions. Should have let them come through, then block them. Another 298 million. So should we confiscate? Yes. Seize it. Use it to help pay for our military. At least help mitigate the cost. So, of course, our glorious leader Trudeau was non-committal when asked Tuesday whether Canada would add to its commitment, saying his government was developing plans to be able to scale up rapidly. More discussions would need to happen during the summit. So, in other words, he's not sure because he doesn't know the answer, and he's giving you a politician's response. The Liberals are not known for spending large amounts of money on the military, and right now he needs the NDP to support to do it. Though probably the Conservatives would support any initiative in their military. And we should be definitely building a defense industry in our own country. We do have a small one here nearby where I live. We have General Dynamics and we have Armatech. We can easily expand those. But it's time that we look to rebuilding our military to what it was in 1985. You know, the federal budget is currently at 1.5% of our GDP, which is far short of the 2% GDP that the NATO requires its members to fulfill. And it's going to take us years to even get close to that. We're spending $8 billion over 5 years, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you count inflation over a 5-year period, that's not really that much. It doesn't go that far. My idea would be to cut foreign aid in half from its current position of like $6.5 billion down to take $3 billion of that, because I don't need to give foreign aid to countries like China, North Korea, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and Russia. I don't need to give money to those guys in foreign aid. I'd rather see it go to our military. So we do need to invest in our military, whether some people like it or not. We spend enough money on useless programs that don't really benefit a lot of people. They benefit a few. But anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think. Should we increase our forces in Latvia? Should we increase our defense spending? And should we accelerate it as much as possible? Leave comments in the comment section. And until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.